Happy New Year, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Everybody looks perky. Hopefully, you had a great New Year with your pets. I certainly had a good New Year with my two-legged and four-legged children. It was just beautiful here. The weather was cold and crisp, but nice. This is Deborah Hamilton. You tuned into the MAAP community call. And today we're going to talk about elder care with pets, as well as, and I mean the people, not the pets, as well as how to talk to your trust and estate attorney, because I'm giving a program with the ASPCA for the New York Women's Bar Association, and we're going to talk about what you need to do and how you need to speak to your attorney. And it's interesting that often there is no real connection between the attorney and the things we talk about here in the MAP program, because we do help you make a plan, appoint caregivers, address the needs of your pet, and then publish that plan with the people who need to know. In fact, Sally, you'll be glad that I shared with the attorneys from ASPCA that one of my community members said, here I was letting a dog out while someone was going to a doctor's appointment, and I saw I was their emergency contact on the refrigerator, and yet we'd never talked about it. It is so important to talk to the people who you are anticipating to care for your pets before they need to care for your pets, because that way they know what you want to do and they can be candid and say, I can't do it. And remember, every year about this time of year, you want to check in with the people who are going to care for your pets. If something happens to you, I always say do it on the 1st of the year and do it on the 4th of July, because that way you give them the opportunity to say, yes, I'm still in, I'm great, or, oh my God, I just moved to a no pet building. No, I can't, I totally forgot, I can't take your pet. So before we start, I'm going to check in with everyone to see how their New Year's are. Oh, yes, Harriet, go right ahead. Ask your question. You're unmuted, so go ask your question. Happy to answer it. And glad.
Okay. Thank you for your help. I did a plan, I want to say last June. Of course, some things have changed, like vets and what have you. And we just did our wills. We have our wonderful breeder who we've used for 30 years who will take George. And even if she is incapacitated, she said whoever is taking care of her dogs will also take care of George. So I feel really good about that part, but we're redoing our wills, and there is already a section in the will that says, who we appoint to take our dog in the event of illness, incapacitation, or death. Do we need to also have the MAP plan attached to the will for more specifics? Because the breeder who will be taking him already has a copy of the MAP plan. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I always suggest, and when I work with people's attorneys in this matter, I always have them refer to the most recent MAP plan. You just have to make sure your attorney has the most recent MAP plan so they know what it is in detail. They're supposed to read it. Hopefully they will. However, they need to have a copy of the MAP plan because that's part of the publishing. It has to be with the person who's going to take your pets. It has to be with your veterinarian so they know, and it has to be with your attorney and your family. Because if you don't publish it with the people who are going to help you implement what you want done with your pets. And as far as the first statement you made, let me get a little clarity around that. So even if your breeder is incapacitated, the person who she's leaving her dogs to will take your dogs.
Correct.
Do you know who that is, and have you checked with them?
Well, mostly no. I just had a conversation with her a couple of days ago, and I said, who would we appoint in the event that you became incapacitated? and couldn't take him because we have no one. I
Right.
mean, literally no one. So she has friends who take care of, oops, I hope we didn't get cut off.
Oh, you're still here.
Okay, because I have a call coming in that I will get rid of. She has friends and a pet sitter who she trusts with her dogs. And she feels perfectly comfortable that those people would follow whatever rules, as it were, needs that each dog would have, and that I don't need to specify an alternate or anything, just that George would go to her house in any event. And I do trust her completely. I mean, I've known her for over 30 years. We've had 5 Goldens from her. I mean, the fact that she's so emphatic about, I want him here no matter what, I trust her completely. I do.
Harriet, I love that. I love that she wants him back and that she's going to take him back. Does she live near you?
Well, near, like within a half hour.
Oh, well, that's great. So I always want to know because I know that I'm one of the people who would take Sally's dogs, but I live at least a 12-hour car ride away or a 3-hour plane ride away. So there has to be somebody there at the time to make sure the dogs don't go to animal care and control. And you do have the sign up in your house that says these dogs have a plan, don't take them to animal care and control in your house, right?
I actually do not. I have his plan on my kitchen counter and in the glove compartment of the car, and to the vets and the breeder and the 3 people who are his emergency contacts, who are getting to be a little iffy in terms of reliability, because they travel, they're busy, on and on and on. But they are all that I have, who are local people other than the breeder.
Well, most people are iffy. I would venture to say that Sally has shared with us several times when everybody was lined up and everybody got sick. So everybody's
Exactly.
iffy at times, but as long as you have hopefully one person who can come at the time or maybe find the time to get there, and if your breeder's only a half hour away and she's able to, she can get there. There's not a lot that you can do. I personally would suggest, if you were in one of my workshops, that it's really great to get to know who the spare is for your breeder. If she's reticent to give you that, I wouldn't make a big megilla because you trust her. So George will be in good hands with her or with whomever she appoints. But it's always good to know who that is. That's our big thing here. We want to know where our dogs want to navigate that journey they're going to take. So you're navigating it from you to your breeder, and then you're leaving it in the hands of your breeder to take the next step, which is absolutely fine. It's what most people do. They don't really give a lot of thought to the next step. You can find out that information, or as you said, which is totally okay. I'm fine with what my breeder is going to do, and George will be fine, and I'm sure he will be. So I would just say, if you're updating your will and things, I would make sure that you put that in. I'd make sure that they all know who this breeder is who would get the dog.
Yep.
And I would definitely put something up that says, so it's easy to find. If it's on your counter, it should be in sort of a bright file that says, in case of an emergency, this is what you do with the dogs, so that it's not hard to find. It's really important that your directives are not hard to find. And I think you only have one dog, George, so it's not so bad. And if one of your neighbors know that you have the bright pink folder on your counter, and that, they should call the people on that, in that file, that would be great.
Now, just one quick other question as a follow-up, because I don't want to hog everybody's time. Um, I lost my train of thought. The map plan that I wrote is like really long and really detailed because he's a funny guy. And so he has, special food, special needs, blah, blah, blah. And so all of that is spelled out. Now, when I redo it, do I have to redo the whole thing or can I
You can just use what's still applicable.
okay, and then the things I need to update, can I just like my vet retired, one of my 5 vets retired. Can I just cross out his name and put in his associate's name?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not supposed to be difficult. It's just simply supposed to move forward every 6 months or every year. The changes that have been made by your dog, like, my dog now eats something different than he used to eat. And
Right.
so, yeah, you want to put that down. You want to make sure it's up to date. If they're taking medication, you want to make sure that's in there.
Right.
If they become really bad with cats, you want to make sure that's in there. All the little things that happen as they age.
Yeah. Well, paws are crossed. He's got a high TGAA thyroid antibody that he's had for about 8 months with no symptoms. Going for an abdominal ultrasound tomorrow for his and also for his neck. So I'm going to wait until he's all clear before I do any updating.
Right, so that you'll be able to update with all the most recent information. That's really good. And we'll all tuck him in our prayers that everything comes back as well as it can.
Oh, please. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time to answer my question
No worries,
because
we're always here every first and third Wednesday, Harriet. So don't hesitate to join us. We talk about a lot of fun things.
no, I know I've been on many calls. That's how I wrote my plan to begin with. And Mel helped me with my first one.
Yeah. Yep.
So
It's important. Yeah. It's important to make sure that, whoever it is will take care of your pet. And, you never know what they're going to do, but as long as you trust that they're going to take the best care of your pet, that's all you can do. Because either you're not able to take care of it, or that, they're the ones who will take care of it. So it'll all work out as long as the pet has a soft place to land. That's what we're aiming for.
yeah, and I'm leaving her a lovely stipend to take care of him.
Well, that's great. I always say just leave them enough money for a bag of food and transportation because they should be taking the dog because they love you and they love your dog, not because they're going to get a lovely stipend. I actually, when I spoke to the attorneys for ASPCA, they were mesmerized. They said, but shouldn't you do the yearly amount that it costs to take care of the dog? I said, sure, you absolutely can. However, the people you want in your MAP plan to take care of your dog are the ones who love your dog and want to take care of it because they love your dog, not because it's a $10,000 windfall. So
No, I hear you. It's just that because he is so unlike her other dogs and he has insurance and whether or not she'll keep that is up to her because I won't know.
Well,
But
you have to check with your insurance, Harriet. You may not be able to transfer it to her. It may only be for you. That's
okay.
that people have to understand when they have pet insurance. They have to understand whether or not it's transferable. I'm trying to talk all the insurance companies that I deal with in the vet industry, which are all of them, that they should have it go with the dog, not with the person. As long as the payments are made, why not have it go with the dog? Because
Right.
then the dog is given to your son or your daughter, or it's given to your breeder, or it's given to me. It doesn't lose all that money that you pay to take care of it over the last 7 or 8 years because you transferred it to me. And so
Okay. That's a
I'm
good
not.
question to
So
ask.
you have to ask. And if it's Trupanion, I believe it's not transferable. I also have Trupanion and I don't think it's transfer. I'm working on it.
It's
But
fetch.
it's Fetch. Well, Fetch is I think Care Credit. Let's see. I will check with them, but let's see because it really is important to make sure it's transferable. Because there's a savings account pet health savings account. I can't remember the exact name. Mark Manesh has it, and I can send you information if you shoot me an email. And it's a savings account that stays with the pet. It doesn't matter who the person is, but it stays with the pet.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure it survives the person because it should survive the person. So I'm so glad you're here, Harriet. Let me do a minute of check-in with everyone else. Connie, how's everybody out in California? I hear you're a little wet.
It was wet Wheaton weather this morning. But we had a very fast moving Pacific storm, which really knocked the Bay Area, but came through here very quickly, fortunately, but it was pouring down rain first thing this morning. And now it is very cold, very windy on the backside, and is expected to be so for the next several days. But we are all fine.
Oh, good. And you had a good New Year.
Yes, we had a good New Year. I am getting rid of this call. Sorry. We had a good New Year. It was quiet. It was wet. But we're all fine. And the only issue that we're experiencing out here, like everybody across the country, is the canine infectious respiratory disease,
Yep.
which people have come home from dog shows around here, as a matter of fact. And I was thinking about entering Casey in the Kennel Club of Palm Springs cluster, which is this coming weekend, but then decided against it because it was just too
And it's
iffy.
really not worth it because Casey might be able to survive it, but Patsy might not.
Exactly. I mean, she's going to be 10 in March.
Yeah.
And in fact, although she hasn't been sick, she has been sneezing because of the very damp weather. And of course, she loves to stick her nose into the dirt and eat it. Always has. Hey, they're terriers.
Come on,
right?
she's a
They're
terrier.
terriers. So at any
Happy
rate,
New Year, Harriet. Glad you were here. And email me. Absolutely. Go ahead, Connie. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's all
Bye-bye.
right.
Bye.
that's all right. But at any rate, people are experiencing the CIRD when they're coming home from dog shows. So it's all over.
I've asked my vet if she's seen it. She thinks she saw it once, but so far, and there's, we're in Eastern Carolina, so there's not a lot of transient dogs here. There's not a lot of dogs that I think go to the vet very often, but there's not a lot of transient dogs. So hopefully it's a good balance. So just keep them safe because it really is about the older dogs.
Exactly.
It's not about the younger dogs who probably are vaccinated and can survive it, but we don't overly vaccinate our older dogs. So, there's a risk there. And speaking about older dogs, how are the girls, the perfect girls who I have to tell you that Sally sent me a video of the girls walking down the street. Now they're 13 and 14. And their rears are so strong. They are pulling like a team of mules down the road, pulling Sally and Gordon. I mean, it's just a credit to the 5 miles a day. I think they walk those dogs, not all at once, unless it's really inclement weather. The girls have really maintained their rears, which is, of course, as we all know, something with big dogs that goes first. So I want to check in with Sally and see how that wild team of mules is doing.
The girls are great. We had a dog off lead charge Roxy yesterday, but fortunately I knew the dog, and this is the second time. Poor guy last time, actually, a dog park took up a fun because he attacked and bit one of the little dogs. But luckily I knew the dog's name and she stopped when I yelled at her, but obviously he didn't learn his lesson. The girls are doing great. They had to stand yesterday. They went to the spa, had their nails, hair, shampoo, and that was exhausting. But up at 6:30 for a 1-hour walk, and then I put them into nap again, and then just a short walk in the afternoon. But yeah, I think most people don't have the luxury of walking an hour, but it seems to have paid off for these two dogs. And since they're two, if one doesn't want to go but the other one's going, then the other one comes along. It's like, well, I'm
it's
not
FOMO, fear of missing out.
So they're great. Thank you for asking.
They're so great, and I'm so glad they're with you. And I'm hoping when I'm up there for the New York State Bar Association that I can figure out a time when I can take the train up and visit you guys. But I'll talk about that offline with you because I I don't even know if he'll be in town, but we'll see. Susan, how is our wild woman of Borneo?
Yeah, Maggie's doing okay. We had a quiet holiday, so I think the quiet is really good for her because when the phone is ringing constantly, the doorbell's ringing, whatever it is, she really that kind of sets her off and gets her going. And
Yeah.
then the least little thing, just sets her off. But it was interesting to hear you talk about older dogs, and I just want to chime in. I get Dr. Tobias's newsletter,
Mhm.
and he had a dog in Portugal that was 31 when it died. I don't know if you had ever heard about that, but
Oh, what kind? It had to be a little dog.
I can't remember what breed it was, but
Yeah, that's
I
pretty
thought
old.
that was amazing. And why is it that our dogs are not living longer than they are? And is it, I have to ask myself what's causing them. Or, if one dog can live that long, I would love to see that become more common and not a rare thing.
No, I know
Um,
it troubles all of us because our dogs never live long enough. I've had
they
dogs
don't.
who live older, and I have dogs who I've lost young, and it's it's the age-old question. I mean, some people think it's the food, some people think it's the environment, some people think it's what you put on your lawn or what your neighbor puts on their lawn. I live
Well, I
across
believe
from
it
a
is the
golf course
lawn.
now.
Yeah,
I live
because
across
if
from a golf course now, and I sit there and I go, I'm probably slowly killing my dogs. So,
yeah,
what do you,
even
what do you
yourself,
do?
you may be killing yourself and not know it, because Parkinson's disease is related to the chemicals that come off of, you know, golf courses.
Everything we are part of. So yeah, I
Yeah,
just think that if we do our best and we feed them the best food we can, because as some of you might know, when Stella came home, she was a raw dog, and I can tell you that her ears were much cleaner than they are now when she was eating raw, except for the fact that I'm really not a raw person anymore. I went through that period in my life. I actually did, and then I decided this is not worth it, and I try to buy a high quality dog food that's ancient grains and the least amount of ingredients and preservatives and everything. However, I have to make it doable for me too and palatable for them. So,
right. It's
it's
hard. It's
it is.
hard, but we have to ask ourselves why, you know, and
Why they
and
don't
and
live as long as we'd like, I know, and why some live longer than others. And maybe Dr. Tobias has a supplement that he gave that would create that ability. I don't know.
no, it may be part of the sales tactic, right? But still, I think he
That's
does
Marty
have a point.
Goldstein's whole sales tactic. And I have to tell you, when I put Junie on Marty Goldstein's food, which I use just as a protein base, not as a chow or anything, it was so rich that he just had a huge adjustment period to it. So you always have to worry that if
Right.
these really rich foods that are so pure and perfect, that our dogs' systems may not like them either. So it's always
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I don't think he was saying that the dog took his supplements, but I've just one quick comment about the insurance companies. It's outrageous when an insurance company doesn't insure the dog, and they know that as dogs get older, their costs are going to go up because they get sicker. And that's, to me,
some of the insurance
outrageous,
companies do allow you.
despicable
Yeah.
beyond belief.
Some of the insurance companies do allow you to transfer it with the dog. You just have to ask the questions, and nobody thinks to ask those questions, right?
Yeah, but
That's why
they
we're
should be
here to
part
make.
of their marketing should be okay, but if you die, the insurance goes away. So people are informed when they buy that insurance. Nobody's going to buy.
Well, right. But then that doesn't help you if you still have the dog and you need it. So there's the double-edged sword, right? You have to
Yeah,
get the
right,
insurance
right.
in
But
case the dog has an emergency. But then if something happens to you, the dog won't have the insurance that you paid for. So it really is a conundrum. So I hear you, and I'm going to do some research. Rose, remind me next year, the third Wednesday, we'll talk about the insurance companies and which ones do what and how and better than others.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
because I'm going to a leadership conference. I'm speaking at a leadership conference for AVMA. So there'll be some of my insurance colleagues there, and I'll make sure I corner them. So let me check in. Stephanie, how are you and how's Yoda?
I'm good, thanks. Yoda is doing really well. We had a great New Year's and holiday. Not too cold, but still pretty chilly up here in Canada. Basically just been trying to stay up to date on all the different information out there that's all about cats and dogs and pets. Like staying in tune with some of the adoption centers and just like checking in so that we're just like well informed with like all the local places that care for cats and dogs and things like that.
That is really a wonderful thing to do at the end of the year because it is important. Some of them need help. People want vacation and being able to check in and help out. Thank you so much, Stephanie, because it really is, a love choice that you make to help people. So I want to really thank you.
Thanks, Deborah.
You're the best. You're the best. And last but not
Uh-huh.
least is Kathleen. Kathy, how are you and how are your girls, Gracie and Emma?
The girls are fine. I have to laugh because, going through Christmas, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, I did things with people and it was a lot of fun, but I tailored some of what I did so that I could also be with the dogs because that's what you want to do,
We're all shaking our heads because we saw the people, but we were more happy when we were home with the dogs.
New Year's Eve, I had an early dinner and went to a movie, and I made sure I was not gone for that long because I just wanted to light the fire, get on the couch, and be with the dogs. So they're good. I'm considering going to an obedience. There's a dog show. I think it's January 20th. And it's half a day or one day. And I want to go see Kimberly. She's showing I forget who her bitch's name, but she's showing her in obedience. And I would just go by myself. But I know people who come home from dog shows, Deborah, and strip their clothes off in the laundry before they go see
And
their
your
dogs.
house is perfectly situated where you can strip your clothes off and spray your shoes when you come home because quite frankly, you don't know what's going to be there. And I don't have any problem with you going to I see Connie shaking her head. I don't have any problem with you going, have a great time, enjoy every minute. You can use hand sanitizer when you get in the car, so you limit the amount of drift that comes off of you. But I definitely would leave a new, pajama or something, or, easy sweatpants.
Just take your clothes off, take a shower, and put on clean clothes.
Yeah. Sort of like visiting somebody with puppies, because you don't want to bring, I remember, and I think I shared it here when I went to visit my friends with new puppies because they were exhausted and they needed a third body to do the rounds of around the clock watching of the puppies. And when I came in from the airport, I took off all my clothes and put on, and I had those clothes in a Ziploc from my house. So they didn't, get out in the hotel room. They didn't get out anywhere. And they were for just comfy, sit with the puppy kind of stuff. And then I washed my clothes and then, everything was fine. I mean, you're going to pick up germs at their house, but those germs are okay because those are the germs the puppies have already been exposed to. Right. So, if you go, have a great time, enjoy every minute. Tell me what it's about, because I can tell you that Stella's obedience training is going really swimmingly. I'm being facetious. So it is, there's a little bit of a stubbornness there. And there's a little bit of an eye-hand coordination, and I mean this in the most loving way, with my husband. So, when he's trying to make her do stuff, I mean, some of us, Connie, and Sally, we did it since we were 20 years old, so it's sort of second nature to us. But he thinks the training her to touch is like the neatest thing in the entire universe, but it does so much for them. So this is a really good trainer, and she's got the patience of Job. And she's from Long Island, so that's always good. And I think he'll get with it, but Stella definitely is going to be a challenge, and why not? She's an English Cocker Spaniel. So here it is.
And could you send me some videos from Sally? Hi, Sally. I'm so happy to hear about the girls. You have no idea.
Well, that's because Kathy owned Athena's sister. So, there is that whole family birthday party. Everybody knew the girls. So Miss Willie was the best. And we lost her too soon. I mean, she was a nice age, but she was not 14. And actually, there are only, I think, 3 of them still, Ryder and Athena. I think maybe only 2, Ryder and Athena. Ryder out in California. And Athena,
I think that's it.
yep, that's it. So it was a big litter, and now we're celebrating the wonderful litter that's still here, thankfully. So before we end, because I see it's 7:01, I do want to talk about the elder care. So we all are over 21. Maybe Stephanie, you're not over 21, but all of us are over 21. And so we really have to figure out what it is that we're going to do for the care of our pets. If we lose our balance, we trip, we fall, we break something, we have to go to the hospital, we have to go in for a hip replacement, a knee replacement. My friend Susie has been down for the count since November 17th. She just took Mariah home. Because the recovery wasn't like mine, which was sort of hop, skip, and a jump. It was much more involved. So you really do need, and she really didn't have IMIT, and that's fine. And that's fine. And that might be what you have to do, but you have to plan that things are going to go really, really well. And what are you going to do if things don't go really, really well? You need somebody who can keep your dog for an extra 6 weeks, right? I mean,
like you, like you.
That's a long time. So you have to do that. Also, if you have an aging parent and they have a cat or a dog, it is really important to do whatever you can to keep that cat or dog healthy for them, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't even know if they're feeding it. Most of the Meals on Wheels also now combine meals for pets, because the older people will give the meals that they deliver for the people to the dogs. So Meals on Wheels has actually become, in conjunction with a pet sort of welfare group that provides meals for the pets as well, because everyone knows that keeping your pets with you when you're older. I mean, my husband, for the first time in my life, is out walking every single day because he's got Stella. We know we're happier.
Plus he has little smile on his face that I've never seen. It is.
In fact, the trainer today, because he had to leave to take the call, which of course, as you can all imagine, the trainer went into orbit. She was very good about it, but she went, no telephones. I said, not my telephone. And he came back in and she didn't, yell at him. She just said, no telephones. He goes, oh, it was a very important call. Okay, whatever. But Stella, she saw how much Stella loves him, because there was nothing I could do to continue the lesson, stepping into Jim's shoes. Yes, God, thank you, because I'm not Jim. She loves Jim. And that's what I was hoping for. I really didn't want to be that person for her, because all my dogs, I'm that person. And this dog, I am not that person. I mean, she's okay when I'm around. She loves me. She wants me to pet her. But when he leaves, it's when it's great. So you really have to make sure that if you have someone who's elderly, if you have older friends, I mean, all of us have older friends who may or may not have pets, being able to help them plan for their pets, being able to get to know the information about their pets so you can keep the pets with them, because that's going to make such a big difference. And also, if you're doing your trust and estate, please don't hesitate to ask questions. As I told Harriet, ask questions, ask what that is that will be the person who cares for her pet if the breeder can't care for her pet. And you have to be really careful, because if you start asking questions like that, the person who is caring for your pet takes it very defensively. You know, what? You don't think I'm going to find somebody great to take care of your pet? No, I do. But if you know who that would be, could you let me know so I could introduce myself and introduce, George at this point to her, so George knows her too? Because the key to taking good care of your pets is to making sure that they know the person who is your person, or your persons who are your people, because they need to know the animal, which is why I said, leaving a great stipend. And that's what all the attorneys say to me. How much do you leave? Is it $10,000? Is it $20,000? And I said, well, quite frankly, you can leave whatever you want in the will if you're dead. I said, but if it's an emergency and you need to take the dog right away, I said, the pet trust should only really have about $2,000 in it, which will cover a bag of dog food and the transportation of the dog to the person, and maybe a vet visit that might come up. Because they're taking your dog because they love you and they love the dog, and they know about it, and they want to. I mean, if you've done a MAAP plan, then they know about everything. If you haven't done a MAAP plan, surprise! I said I would take Connie's dog, and here I am with Connie's dog, no directions, because they don't have a MAAP plan. So please, 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 for the new year, put it on your list. Do it by, say, the Ides of March. That's not too far away. That's March 15th. I mean, I don't even know if we have, I'm not sure if we have a meeting then, but I'll check in to see if everybody's updated theirs by the Ides of March. But anyone who's listening to this, you really need to make a plan for your pet before the 15th of March, so that if, God forbid, something happens, your pet is cared for. You know who's going to step in. They know who's going to step in. And that navigating the journey, the MAAP, navigating the journey of what happens to your pet, if something happens to you, long-term, short-term, is really of the utmost importance. So on this first of 2024, a year that I'm sure will go down in infamy for
many reasons.
We will stay together. We will be here every first and third Wednesday, come heck or high water. We will be caring for our pets. We'll be caring for each other. And I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad to everyone who's listening to the recording, because it really is important to make that plan for your pet, appoint your caregivers, write down all the attributes of your pet, and make sure that you publish that plan. Because unless you tell the people who are going to care, please don't just put somebody's name up on your refrigerator who you've never spoken to, but who seems to like your dog. Not fair to that person, not fair to your dog. So until next time, which is, I want to make sure I get it right, it's the 17th, January 17th. I will be in New York. I might actually be at Sally's house. Who knows? Because I'll be in New York at the New York State Bar Association. It'll be my first time back. It's the first live New York State Bar Association annual meeting that they're having. So I'm going up to see my friends. And I'll be in the city. I'm staying in the city. Yay. And I will also see my firstborn, which of course would probably be a dog, but alas, it's my son. So.
No.
Could be a dog, was my firstborn, absolutely, because I had litters before I had kids, but I digress. Anyway, guys, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad everybody had a good holiday, and everybody's dog and cat, Yoda, are safe and sound. Please come in with me on the 17th. I'm going to talk about, remember, Rose, I'm going to talk about the insurance. So it's going to be a really interesting discussion, so that we know what it is. I'll probably only cover the 3 or 4 things you need to look for, which for me is always, I can usually cover the yearly $500 that it costs to bring them to the vet to do all the testing that you do. It's when they get sick, or, they have an issue, whether or not that's covered. And then there's the deductible, because Stella went, of course, for her throw up of the, little rubber stopper. However, the deductible was more than the cost of making her throw up. So, there you have it. But just so we make sure we have all the properties, and maybe I'll ask Susan Cannon to come. She is the Vet Plus I think that's Vet Plan, who enables people to have payment plans. So you don't have to get credit. You can get credit, but on a payment plan, so that it's, you know, what it's doable, and it really, it works out well and gives you the opportunity to take care of your pets when you might not have the best of credit. She created it because, well, because she got divorced and had no credit, because it was all in her husband's name, and then her dog got sick. So she had to borrow money in order to take care of her dog. So she started this for people who are in the same little basket, where all of a sudden you don't have good credit, you can't get money through Care Credit, and your dog is sick. So until next time, which is the 17th of January, this is Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton Law Mediation, the MAAP community call, who I love all of my community members. And of course, join me on Why Do Pets Matter? We've got some new recordings coming up, and I can't wait to see you all on the 17th. Stay safe. Susan, kiss the little Maggie for me, and Connie, of course, Patsy and Casey, and Kathleen, of course. You have Emma and Gracie, who I love. Yoda, who is my favorite cat aside from Jane, who I spent the last 2 months with. And of course, without a doubt, the two ladies of the night who live with Sally.
The ladies of Sally, the ladies of the night.
They are. They are. They are really the ladies.
And the miracle girls.
The Miracle Girls, the Roxy and the Athena. So until next time, thank you so much, and take care of your babies for me.